Kun Kunaraksa is a 40 under 40 Asian Australian Award winner. 6 months ago, he dug into his own family history and what he discovered changed his life forever. Since then, he's been sharing his extremely rare life experience, a lost brother, mother, and father, all before he turned 13. So the stage is yours, Kun. Anytime you're ready.
You must first take care of yourself before you take care of others. Since I was 5 years old, my dad taught me to love my family, especially my brother Shane, and to help other people whenever I can. At that time, we were living in Sydney, Australia, and my dad ran a Thai restaurant named Sawatdi. Every night after he closed his restaurant around 11 p.m., he would drop off his staff first before coming back home. Also, he gave jobs to many Thai people who nearly moved to Sydney to work with him at his restaurant. Shane and I always made a joke. Every Thai in Sydney knew our dad, yeah. But there was one incident, I would call it an egg incident. What happened was Shane threw an egg at our neighbor's new car. And after that, Jonathan and Andrew came to our house and asked if we saw who did it. I was like, Shane did it, Shane did it, I saw that. My dad had to apologize to the neighbor, but he got angry at me and he spanked me. And he said, Kun, you shouldn't say like that. Shane is your brother, you need to stick together and you need to protect each other no matter what. I, on the other hand, I was so confused and I cried because I thought I did the right thing of telling the truth. As I grew up, I learned that Shane was born with a rare liver disease, which the doctor told my parents that he wouldn't make it. So my parents sent Shane to Japan and spent over $1 million on his medical bills, his treatments, his flight, his accommodation for about 2 years. And then Shane got better. His condition got much better. But still, the doctor said that he could live until the age of 14. My dad, he thought that he was living with a ticking time bomb, meaning Shane. After I knew that, I understood why my dad spanked me during that egg incident. It's because he wanted us, Shane and I, to love each other no matter what. My mom was physically disabled since I was born. And I remember that when I was 7 years old, the last thing that I could expect to hear from my dad was, your mom and I were separate and we're moving back to Bangkok, Thailand. After we moved back to Bangkok, my dad, he continued to work in the hospitality industry. He worked as a head chef at a five-star hotel, but he didn't really have much money. Remember that flight back to Bangkok? The flight tickets were $3,000 for me, Shane, my dad, and our childhood nanny. My dad didn't have money to pay for that, and my grandma had to pay instead. My dad's work schedule in Bangkok was so crazy, was so intense. He had to work 6 days a week, and I didn't get to see him that much. During weekdays, his work schedule would start around noon and then finish around midnight coming back home, which means I already went to bed. So my favorite days when I was little was Sundays because I can spend time with my dad. But during those weekdays, although my dad will be super tired from cooking like 8 to 10 hours a day, he still helped me with my homework. So I normally write like a little note and put it on the dining table, asking him for some new ideas, all about like advanced English homework. And when I woke up, he will have the answer ready on a piece of paper with a little drawing, like a cartoon drawing of us as a family. Normally it's like me on his left lap and my brother on his right lap. the drawing is just so cute. I was like, the drawing make my day every single time. And when it comes to Sundays, my dad, instead of spending time on himself or his stuff, he would take us to watch Toy Story movie and take us to the park to have like afternoon picnic. And I remember my primary school teacher asked me, what do I want to do when I grow up? Who do I want to be like? My answer always be, I want to be like my dad. He's my real life superhero. And I remember when I was in 5th grade, our dad made a surprise taking Shane and I to a new, like a 4-story brand new townhouse, about 30 minutes drive from our home. And he took us go up the building. And then when we're on the 3rd floor, he was like, Kun, that the first room is yours, will be yours. The second one will be yours, Shane. And he asked us if we like them. I was like, what's going on here, Dad? What's going on here? And he told us that he bought the townhouse to be our home. And the first 2 floors will be the new restaurant he's planning to open. And one day, I got to learn that my dad had to take $150,000 loan just to make that townhouse to be our home. And he even went out around Bangkok and buy furniture like plates, chairs, or lamp just to get ready for the restaurant to open. And we stored those furniture at home in one of the rooms. And I remember going to the rooms like, this is like a furniture treasure. Wow. And everything that my dad did, it was just because he wanted to create a better life for us, for me and my brother. And I remember when I was 13 years old, it was the evening after I finished class from school. I went to the hospital that my dad was admitted. My dad wasn't feeling well, and we thought it was just like a normal flu. So when I arrived at the room that my dad was in, he was sitting on the bed, and I was like, Dad, what did the doctor say? Is everything okay? My dad responded this, Kun, I'm diagnosed with leukemia stage 3. After I heard that, I wasn't upset. I wasn't sad, but I was just so numb to the feelings. So I ran to my dad and I gave him a hug, and I put my head on his chest and I said this,ป๊าไม่ต้องเป็นห่วงนะเดี๋ยวคุณจะไปถอนเงินที่ทำงานมาให้หมดเลยเงินทั้งหมดที่คุณมีเนี่ยจะให้ป๊าไปรักษาให้หายเป็นปกติเดี๋ยวป๊าจะสบายดีนะ It means Dad, don't worry, don't have to worry. I'll go to the bank and withdraw all my savings from the bank account. I'll close it down and you can use all the money for your treatment and you'll be well again soon. That bank account had a lot of money, $100. So my dad received chemotherapy, and it was the first time in my life seeing him getting physically weak. He lost all his hair. He lost 25 pounds within 5 months, and he just looked so skinny. Like I never seen him like getting so weak like that, like didn't have energy most of the time. And this is it's so strange for me because my dad he's a big, tall guy like me, 6 feet tall. And he used to be a rugby player during uni. And despite he's like sick like that, he still continued to work to make sure he had money to take care of us. And at the time, my dad was managing 6 restaurants at the hotel he was work at. And his work schedule didn't change. It was 6 days a week. And I remember at one point, he had no days off. So he had to work 15 days continuously. And my friends' parents, they always drive like Mercedes-Benz car, right? My dad had to take the bus to work every single day. And it took him 3 hours round trip. And because he's a tall guy, and for Thai culture, men always give seat to elderly people, women, and children, he had to stand all the way through those 3 hours rides. I remember he told me that he felt like burning inside his chest and he wanted to sit down, but he couldn't. He just had to fight through those feelings during those rides. And on Sundays, after he received chemotherapy sessions, instead of like taking a rest, he would help his colleague to translate 5 Thai 200 pages book into English. Just because he couldn't say no to his colleague that he's busy. After 11 months, my dad was defeated by leukemia and he passed away. All of his plan of opening a restaurant also was wasted. He spent 17 years worrying and being afraid that my brother Shane would die. And because of he cares so much for other people, especially our family, he was the first one to pass away. So no matter what happened, you must first take care of yourself.